What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, taking a look once more at the Synchron deck. This is the finale of my little run I've been going on here with it. Pure, I definitely think, is the best way to go. The deck is really, really fun, like surprisingly fun. This is definitely some of the most fun I've had playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In a really long time. And at the end, after I go through all the cards, I'll show you guys some gameplay video. So, this is a Fenrir. Fenrir, of course, is good going first or second. It's great Ash bait, right? The whole point is just to, like, trick your opponent into think you're not playing Synchron first, besides all the other things this card does. Being a level 7, like, Griffin in the Adventure Engine does this too. Basically gets you into Baronne, but there's this really cool combo that you can do where you special summon Fenrir, activate Overtake, and that's going to special summon Jet, and then there you go. You have a level 8 Synchro, which of course is going to be Psy-Frame Lord Omega. Rip a card out of your opponent's hand. Well, you don't have any cards on your field anymore. Special summon Fenrir again, and then you get to go full combo because Jet is like one of the only cards in the game that can search Converter. It's a really great combo, and you have a lot of different ways to get there. So if you see Fenrir, there's a really good chance that you're just going to like win the duel. Okay, and then I do run this, okay, for a few reasons. First of all, if you see this card, it's like borderline game winning. Every once in a while, you're going to, see this card and it's going to suck. But like the upside, like if you do get this card in your hand, first of all, it's great. Like this is just like Ash bait, and it can be like game losing for you. So that's like one of them. You also play Overtake. You play like Quick Launch. A lot of cards that are very easy to bait your opponent into using. Also, it's a tuner. So this card's really good. It's a 1-card junk speeder, the only card in the game really. And it requires you to discard a tuner. So there was like, I was playing Crossout Designator. I was playing Called By. But then like this kind of fits the same kind of role. Not always. But the good news is, like, most of the time you can chain block your junk speeder summon, like almost always, which is very important, of course. But, any other Ash target, this kind of filled that role for me. Like, I think that this is objectively the right choice. It really fits. I can't recommend this enough. And, of course, right, again, talking about you have to discard tuners. In the worst case scenario, if you don't have any of these other cards in your hand, you need a tuner to discard. So, Ash, of course, Effect Veiler. Instead of playing Imperm, you get a little bit more synergy because this is, like, the central play starter of the deck. And you never want it to be dead because, like, you don't want to lose because of the way that you built your deck, if that makes sense. Stardust Trail, 3 copies of Stardust Synchron. This card is pretty bad to see in your hand because you're almost never going to get the opportunity to like normal summon it, or really you don't want to normal summon it to go into junk speeder. You want to summon this out later. It can special summon from the hand. You'll see an example of that later in the game. If you see it, it's okay, but most of the time this is like the worst brick to see in the deck. It's like very, very unfortunate. Stardust Synchron is generally something that you don't want to see in your hand, but unfortunately you do have to play it at 3, because if you were to open one and then you special summon another copy off of it, like part of the combo requires you to send a level 4, and this is your only copy of that. So you like kind of just for the sake of always having a functional deck, like have to have this card, but there's been plenty of times where it's been good in my hand for sure. This is 2 copies of Revolution Synchron. Again, you just like definitely need these live. You can get away with playing 1 Assault Synchron because it freely special summons itself from the hand. You know what I mean? So that's, that doesn't really matter. 1 copy of Junk Synchron. This is something that you can search off a Junk Converter. 2 copies of Jet. Jet's just good. Like, you want to have multiple copies of this card, to be honest with you. You don't want to run it 3. 2 is like the perfect ratio. 3 copies of Junk Converter. It's pretty self-explanatory. Synchron Carrier. You need to play at least one of these because you're playing, well, I do, on your market set duel, and this card basically is searchable. It's the only Synchron card that is not a tuner, basically, and it has a decent effect. So it's just a free access to basically Junk Speeder, but sometimes you're going to need this too. So you like have to play this card pretty much. 1 copy of Recharger. Again, this is like, not like the best to see, but there's been plenty of times where I've normal summoned Rocket Recharger, activated the effective Overtake. So it's not like a Garnet in the sense that you just lose the duel and you see it. I obviously would just rather special summon it through Quick Launch. Same thing here. This is a Synchron monster. Very random, but it is. So it's good to have a Synchron that you can special summon from the deck, of course. Reinforcement of the Army. It searches Junk Converter. This is the card that you search. It's not a big deal if you see it in your hand. Sometimes, like, if I get drilled, it's actually, like, important to see in your hand. So, either way, it doesn't really matter. Synchro Overtake, I think, is an absolute necessity. Called by the Grave. This is a combo deck. You kind of just have to. On your market set duel, this searches a Synchron card, so, there's plenty of times you're going to search out one of these Synchron cards, but of course, it searches this too. I run 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity, and I've actually, decided, I think this is right. The 3 cards you banish are Jet Warrior, the Yang Zing's definitely a candidate. A lot of times, you choose, you can either go into Baronne or Shen Shen, so that's, another copy that you can banish, and then, of course, Junk Destroyer would be that too. So there is room for the 3, and sometimes you're going to need it. I think this is a nice medium. Now, when I know I'm going second and I get the extra draw, I take out the Pot of Prosperities and I put in more hand traps, and I think that makes sense. And then the Yang Zing, it's a good place to have an Omni Negate, right? Dark Ruler or more is kind of deadly, and so you need, I think, an answer, and it's very easy to go into through your combos. But like I said, when you know you're going second, you get 3 more going second cards, and that puts you up to 12. This is going second cards, so 3, 4, 7. That's a 9. So yeah, it'd be 12 hand traps going second. That's pretty good, obviously. Side cards that you put in going second to Biru. I actually like to play the Psy-Frame cards. I think they're criminally underrated, especially Delta, the one that negates spells. Think about negating your opponent's branded fusion. That is so good. It's almost extra copies of Ash in a way. But there's so many good spell cards. Think about all the field spells. I think this card someday is going to see a lot of play. Psy-Frame cards are so good. This is one for traps. I like to play this if my opponent's playing some sort of trap deck, because they're going to fire off, I think, the dimensional barrier as soon as possible. So if they try to do that during your draw phase, you can just do Epsilon, and then you also get a Synchro out of it. I definitely think that's a pretty decent play, because you're going to lose if your opponent, of course, flips dimensional barrier. Or you're playing, what's it called? Labyrinth, and they always do stuff pretty much all during the draw phase. So this card could do a lot of good things. Dark Ruler or more, it's pretty standard, right? Lightning Storm, evenly matched. And so let's go on to the extra deck. Crimson Dragon, definitely becoming one of my favorite cards. Being able to just cheat out really good boss monsters, of course, is really awesome, because most of these cards would never ever see play without it. So something like Majestic Star Dragon is almost impossible to bring out, but now it's just super easy. Dispotter is a monster negate that also just helps you recycle Psy-Frame Lord Omega to basically grab 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. Baronne is just a ridiculous card, if I'm being honest. Shen Shen, I think this card really should be in every Synchron deck. It's really good. It's recursive, and it can just win you duels against certain decks, especially just combo decks. It's so good as a floodgate. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, it's super duper easy to go into this card in this deck. Psy-Frame Lord Omega. Destroyer basically goes along with Jet Warrior. The idea is that you just show them with your Synchro Overtake, and it's also just good bait to banish with your Pot of Prosperity. It's you don't really have to think about it. You just know you can banish these 2. Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. This card is so awesome. When it brings something back, when it goes to the Synchro Summon process, it makes that monster unaffected. Being able to Synchro during your opponent's turn, too, I think is just really, really fun. Stardust Dragon, Stardust Charge Warrior, Junk Speeder, Excel Synchron, sends and basically manipulates its level. I like to play Danglong again. I think, having the answer against Dark Ruler is this is going to be the main out. It's a cheap card, especially if you're playing this in paper, right? Dark Ruler more is now super cheap. It's really good going second. And now you can just kind of have that answer after you've already ripped your opponent for 2 cards. And then Majestic Star Dragon. All you have to do is just target the Dispotter, and it's the same level, right? It's a dragon monster as well. And then there you go. You have an Omni Negate that blows up your opponent's board, and then it also, I think, brings back Stardust Dragon. You could also play Clear Wing, and honestly, I think Clear Wing would be pretty good, because this does, get rid of itself at the end of the turn, versus Clear Wing, which is just an Omni Negate, every single turn for spells and traps. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? And I already went over that, so that is the deck profile. Let's go ahead and jump over to the replays. I will show one last because I get it breaks the program when I do it. But here is a match I had against Trap Tricks. Let's take a look and see how this ended up. So this is a good opening, of course, right? Being able to send Jet Synchron is pretty cool too. I can normal summon, I can bring that back. He goes for Effect Veiler, it's pretty unfortunate, but I do have double Quick Launch, so that's also just literally access to it anyways. These two work really well together. It's a lot of the times you're only going to need one of the targets from Quick Launch, but I guess in that case I needed both. I still had Synchro Overtake too, so basically another copy of Quick Launch in a sense. Okay, and then there we go. I can go into SL Synchron. I get the token there. Increase the level. Go for Dispotter. If your opponent hand traps you early, you won. You know what I mean? Like in a place that's just not very good, because you're ripping 2 more cards out, right? Like looking at this, I'm gonna rip one. Dispotter brings us back. Do another one, and then this is going to, during my opponent's turn, basically tag out. And I can go into the Majestic Star. Of course. And then you can, Monster Reborn something. Let's say Revolution Synchron, for example. Jet Synchron's also online, but this one's free. So you just Monster Reborn this, you up the level, and you can go into Baronne too. Your opponent's going to be on 3 cards, and you're going to have, an Omni Negate with Majestic, an Omni Negate with Baronne, a monster negate here. Your opponent's not playing, right? Like the game is definitely over at that point. All right, so I think let's go into game 3. Of course, you're going to sight in your evenly matches. Again, you have like 12 going second cards at this point, which is pretty good, going second. It's about as good as you can ask. I had double evenly. I don't even think I need the other one. This card can be, it's pretty good, right? Especially if your opponent really commits to it. Like all their end board. I think they set all of these, so they're probably only going to leave the Rafflesia up, and even high anti-spell. That's rough, man. That's really rough. Normally, I think you leave Sarah, and then you can do some other stuff, but I don't know. I guess he just wants the interruption. He gets debated just like that, you know what I mean? So he's done him. He's out of interruptions. Take a look at this. It looked weird. It didn't look like I had any plays, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tribute. Well, that's going to trigger the Stardust Trowel in hand, so it does come in handy, like being here. And there we go. I can now search the Illumination, which means I can special summon you don't always, right? This special summons a Stardust monster. Normally it's the Trail, but you can also just special summon another copy of Stardust Synchron. So when that's used as the Trail, when it's used as Synchro material for I think it's like a Stardust monster or a Synchron, basically it lets you bring out a token. I don't think I end up using the token. Or no, I do. Okay, so there we go. If I control a Stardust Synchro monster, I can go ahead and special summon the Synchron, and then there we go. That makes a level 5. So after all of that, I don't think I got to use the effect of Excel Synchron, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's still going to be a level 8 body, which is super good. And then through all of that, I can still make Junk Speeder, and then I can just go full combo. So I think he ends up scooping after that, but that's pretty cool. That's a really unconventional way to get to Junk Speeder. But as you play the deck more, you realize there's a lot more lines to it. And it's very rewarding. It'll definitely get better and better as it goes along. So this is a match I had against Adam Emancipator. Here you go. Here's Gamma. Of course, it's just so good. It's going to win me the duel, essentially. Even had Ash, which is even better. It's okay, well, my Psy-Frame is still online. I also just got free access to the beginning of my plays here. He does have a spell and trap negate, but if he activated at any point here, I would just have the Gamma. So he's at my mercy. And then the unfortunate part here is I do have Illumination. I have to be careful. I can't use this card yet, but it's not too bad. I mean, you get to Soul Charge for 4. As you might imagine, you have a little bit of wiggle room to dance around here. There goes the Crimson, and I can bring that back. I can go into a 8, right? You don't have to use Crimson Dragon just for Majestic always. You can also cheat out Crystal Wing, and that's pretty awesome. And now I can use Illumination and then combo for 1,000 cards here. I can go into Dispotter, so that's a monster negate, so that's pretty cool. And, I tributed, so I can bring this back. I can go into Psy-Frame to rip whatever card he has left, and then Shen. 2 monster negates. I'm ripping this card, you know what I mean? If, whatever it is that he activates. But as he's playing a combo deck, one card still isn't going to do it anyways. Shen was just, almost like an insurance policy, so to speak. Okay, and then here is the other duel. I don't remember. So this is game 2, and he was kind of comboing. I don't really know what he's doing. Adam Emancipator is a pretty complicated deck to play optimally, obviously, because it's just so random. I think you just have to have a lot of practice. But he does, I think, put up a couple interruptions, and let's see what I'm able to do here. He's also playing the super heavy samurai stuff. That's kind of bizarre. I guess they are Earth, but I think you're just like putting too much in there at that point. So there's Crystal Wing. So there it goes. Obviously the first interruption. None of my going second cards I see, so that kind of sucks. But at least I'll have a lot of extenders. So maybe that can help me get somewhere. As long as I can chain block the, junk speeder, I definitely have a chance at that point. He goes for the Soul Claw. There's Soul Charge. Or Charge Warriors. Not Soul Charge. And then he goes for Dragite. Although I don't think his Dragite's online. Yeah, I don't think he has a water monster in the graveyard. So that was a little bit of an oversight. I was hoping to trigger like at least one of his interruptions. But let's see. So I go for Junk Speeder. I do Chain Block. But he had Effect Veiler. So that just like... my chances definitely go down. He goes for Crystal Wing. Okay. And now I can go for Junk Synchron. And then look at Effect Veiler. Oh, give me a break. But I can at least make Crystal Wing. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of his. I'm looking at his board. It doesn't really do anything. So I have a chance. There's no tuners. I'm going to stop him from searching one there. Now he is going to be able to flip this back. But at least he doesn't have damage on board. And suddenly I feel like I'm kind of in this duel. It's online now. So okay, he did top deck the... I don't even know how you say this. The Carded Corn or something like that. I was shocked, right? You get rid of like all these dudes for Appaloosa. So like, okay, let's see what I can do here. I really feel like this opened the door for me. I thought I could chain block, but I forgot I was going second. So I wasn't able to do that with Dang Long. So that is what it is. You know what I mean? I was hoping to bring something back and then do something. But I talked at the Stardust Trail. Okay, so now I'm up on, like, board presence. I tribute the Shen Shen. I think I can actually bring Shen Shen back, too. But here we go. I'm starting to combo off. I can go for Baronne, and then, Jet Synchro might as well trigger. And I'm not going to bring it back. There's no reason. So I might as well just get myself a free card. That way my top deck can be even better. And then he ended up scooping. So that was obviously pretty darn cool. And then last is this game against Dragon Link that, like, it breaks the application when it ends. But okay, here's Gamma again, a game-winning card. If you see it, you pretty much win the game. I think it's absolutely worth playing a brick for. There he goes, Darkness Metal. I'm going to go Psy-Frame. He's not done though. He definitely has a little bit of plays here. He goes for Magnemite. Okay, so he's going to be able to search. He's probably going to search like a play starter next turn. Sounds about right. The safer. The only thing I'm worried about is like adding back one of these Bestials or something like that. But I do have the full combo here. I don't think I can chain block, but that's okay. I think I kind of could read it because when I did Gamma, there was no prompt for him. So I kind of could read that he didn't have it. That's part of playing online, you know what I mean? He does go for the next Bestial, Saronir. But okay, I do Product Prosperity, and this is where I think it really comes in. I get another copy. It wasn't called by the grave, so I could still use it. So I tribute off the Nibiru token, Trail King Trigger. And then there we go. I can go for Jet, Illumination to make this into Baronne, pop that. Okay, so I'm going to use the negate, right? I didn't want this to go off. So what I'm going to do is during the standby phase, I will, tag this out. I didn't use the effect of Excel, so this is a quick effect. So he's going to start his plays, and then there we go. Now I can go into Baronne again, so the Omni Negate is still online. He did try to go for Dark Ruler, but Excel makes it unaffected. It is unaffected by my opponent's activated effect. So I get a free Omni Negate to use whenever I want. And then boom, just like that, that is the end of the duel. So that was pretty neat. That was a pretty cool end to all of that. But let me know what you guys think about this Synchron deck in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video. And I will see you guys next time.